Check, attention to everyone. We would like to announce that this event is going to be started soon. So we would like to make sure that everyone will entering the hall as soon as possible. Thank you.
Tapi dia istilahnya lembaga Surabaya, bukan antar universitas, enggak. Jadi antar mahasiswa pergaulan dari
Kayaknya dia mau nyampe ke PPT-nya deh.
iya kayaknya. Siapa?
Makanya dia tadi nanya berapa menit lagi mulainya.
I think I'm the third step. Okay. Thank you very much. It's just 5 simple steps. belum. Yang ngasih materi cuma satu. Berapa?
Dia kasih PPT-nya.
Biasa itu yang zaman Belanda sih. Bisa lagi, bisa lagi. Yo. Sendiri orang apa ini? Foto. Iya, kita boleh. Sedikit agak tidak bisa. Lantai sama gedung. Gedung ini gedung apa sih? Nah, sampai Apa? Akhirnya males-malesan maghrib. Sore lah. Paling dulunya kan pasti itu apa? Raga. Ya? These zeros are and through space. This is red velvet. Yeah, that's right. No. Let's do it. No. Maybe I gave you the one. Smell the jump. I'm sorry.
Close aja. Kayak pendek sampai ngeprint aku kompres kan turun di kontrol itu
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That is it. I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
kursi lagi tuh. Di bawah ini. Oh, itu loh yang salah balik Pak Jogja. Iya, satu lagi.
Oke, yin kan.
Agak buat loh. Agak buat deh. Mantap. Di sini sebagai teknis. Aku mau ya. Surabaya gitu. Ini kan mau. Oi.
Ya gitu.
Kamu lebih
Iya.
Oh, berapa megapiksel?
Sama Paris sih.
Enggak 500.
Tenang ya deh.
Iya tuh, tweet, live tweet, live tweet, live tweet, live. Oh, presentasi di sini. Oh, Del, dibalik Del. Sana live tweet, sini presentasi katanya. Flash disk.
Ikuti ya emosi.
Attention for the audience. You may sit down now because we are going to start the event soon. Thank you.
Ada mau sepuluh mulu, soal dulu. Pak Bos bersabda.
Ini ya. Kopi flash disk. Udah. Materi sini. Iya. Sana live tweet.
Planner itu sama stok ya. Planner itu yang
Sloket yang pertama belum saya beda 3 sloket. Iya.
yang pertama planner itu.
Terus 3 sloket sama sloket toh. 3 sloket. Putri, ajarnya terbatas.
Good evening. Welcome back to all the participants and the honored guests. So now we are on the plenary session 2. The title of this plenary session is Habitatry and Urban Youth. Our consultation from around the world and brought beyond urban agenda. This plenary aims to take stock of youth actions in the context of habitat-free consultations on this eve of the third and last sub-country and with forward-looking perspective towards the new urban agenda and beyond. Without wasting time, we would like to invite Mr. Dogrek as Chief of UN Habitat Youth and Livelihood Units. For Mr. Dogrek, time and place is yours. Let's give a big applause.
Thank you very much. So again, welcome back. I know it's getting late and maybe you're a bit tired, but I think this will be an important and exciting panel just to learn what the next steps are, where we've come from, what the next steps are, as well just to congratulate you all for a really exciting few workshop sessions. I was in the terrorism and radicalism one. It was really exciting to hear all of your opinions, what's going on and stuff, and very hopeful for Indonesia and so what I'd like to do quickly is just have the panel briefly introduce themselves, and then we'll go and then each one will do the presentation.
Hi everyone, thank you Doug. My name is Jackie and I work at Population Research.
Hello everyone, my name is Jose and I'm from the Indonesian Youth Business Movement.
Hello, I'm Amy. I'm coming from Indonesian Youth Movement.
Hello everyone, I'm Felix. I'm working for Citinet.
Good evening. evening. My name is Mark Major, and I'm working for the Global Partnership on Sustainable Low Carbon Transport.
Good evening. I'm Abi. I'm representing persons with disabilities in Sustainability Agenda.
Hello guys, my name is Dan Chen. I'm working for the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network here. Thank you.
Great, thanks. A great panel. So just to give you a brief overview of what the panel is about, and then give you a brief overview of where we come from. So this panel is taking a look at where the Habitat 3 has come from, where all the different processes have come from. So many of you I think have been involved in the Asia Pacific Urban Forum and you, Pufi, Forum. Raise your hands if you've been to So there was a Pufi and then there's this one that's been happening in Indonesia. But to give you a bigger, broader perspective, so the Habitat 3 process is a 20-year process that happens. It's starting in 1996, so this is 1976. The first conference for Habitat 3 was held in Vancouver, which is my home city. And that conference specifically focused on defining urbanization for the world and for the member states of the United Nations. So then from that conference, we had the Vancouver Declaration. It really was the first time that urbanization came onto the stage, the first time that the developing world was saying, okay, so how do cities fit in positively in development? Still looking at cities as rather negative, as places that have bad environments and places where most people live, but still starting the conversation specifically looking at how cities fit into development and national development. 20 years later, in Istanbul, there was again another international gathering, again trying to define how cities and urbanization are looking for the next 20 years. At that time, cities, the concept of urbanization became a bit more positive. People could see that there was a possibility of sustainable cities. There was also a time when the world population was growing and people also recognized that the statistics show that people were moving to cities whether you like them or not. I mean, for whatever reason, the Bright Lights big city, people were moving from rural areas to cities. We couldn't stop people, which is what was happening before previously, the 20 to 40 years previous in international development. So at that time, there was a real strong push to say, well, what can we do to make cities a positive force for development? And so 1996 in Istanbul was very much known for that kind of forward-looking vision of cities, but as well known for partnerships. It was all about the time when partners came on board, and specifically partners such as youth and women and indigenous people and unions. And there was about 16 different what they call Habitat Agenda partners. So that was a really exciting time for people who work in the cities and city issues. Following that, and this is where we are now, the next 20 years, and coming up in October in Quito, Ecuador, is the next, what we're calling Habitat 3. Coming out of 1996 came what they call the Habitat Agenda. And that was so first it was the Vancouver Declaration, then there was the Habitat Agenda. The Habitat Agenda was encapsulating all that I was talking about, a positive focus on cities and engagement with partners. We're now moving on to 2016. What we're looking at, and I'm sure you guys have heard the term, the New Urban Agenda. And the New Urban Agenda, again, is about where we're going to go for the next 20 years and how we're going to look at that. So there's been a whole range. We understand cities much better. Still not enough, but much better than we ever have. We know that as we projected in 96, that cities are the place that is growing and where the majority of the world is going to live. As of 2007, over 50% of the world was living in cities. And that's projected to raise by 2030 to 60% of the world will be living in cities. Indonesia is a great example of a very urbanized country. Where I come from in Canada, again, another highly urbanized country with 80+% living in cities. We know that cities can be positive. We also know that they can be horribly negative if done wrong. So agenda to focus on what positive things we can do with cities, such as doing planning better. How can we do urban planning better that is inclusive, that assures that it's environmentally sustainable? Governance, how can we make sure that we govern our cities properly? Legislation is also another group area that we're looking at. What kind of legislation promotes healthy cities? Basic services. These are all the things, some of the things that we've discussed here that are part of what we're considering to be the urban agenda. So that's the kind of bigger arc of in time from 1976 to now. Previously to this, we go into more detail by each of the speakers. There were different consultations and different streams of consultations that would get us to making sure that you and the world has a say in cities. So we had the World Urban Campaign and the Urban Thinkers Campuses. Those were the first things we had, and I think we had one here in Indonesia. The Urban Thinkers Campuses were another stream of ways of the civil society people coming in and having a say in what's going on. 28 Urban Thinkers Campuses on a whole different range of issues, public spaces and planning and so on, legislation and government. So it was, the Urban Thinkers Campuses were great, and they have fed in through the World Urban Campaign into what is going on here, and what is going to go on in Quito and what is going into the region. The other is a more formal process, and that's where we are here, in this Habitat 3 preparatory conference. All these conferences, these big UN conferences, these 20-year conferences, have preparatory meetings. The first preparatory meeting held for the New Urban Agenda and Habitat 3 was held in Nairobi. And at that time, we had brought everyone together and started kind of sketching out what we thought would happen. The next preparatory conference was held in First one was New York. The second one was Nairobi. So there you go. So those are the first two conferences. And both those conferences basically did very technical things like the rules of order and how they were going to do, and also brought member states, those are the countries that make up the United Nations, 193, on board to discuss urbanization. And it has been a bit of a challenge, let's say, because cities are not usually the common things that national governments discuss, oddly enough, considering cities are oftentimes the biggest settlements in their countries. So it's taken a bit of time for people to get up to speed and cities to get up to speed. And at that time as well, I think that NGOs, civil society such as yourself, and academics have actually been way ahead of the member states. But that is now starting to change, and member states are starting to get more and more into what's going on and becoming more fluent to what's happening. So now this is the third preparatory conference. At this time, we know that in the next 5 days, that the member states represented here, so there will be a number of countries that will be sending delegations to, and they will finalize pretty much the new urban agenda. You've seen, I'm sure it's been sent around, the third draft of the new urban agenda. It's pretty good. Obviously, we like stronger language around youth, we like stronger language around women. But this is the time to have some and the final influence on that, and that is what the different workshops that you have will be forwarded to the Secretary, the Habitat 3 Secretary, to include in or to take a look at to influence this final new urban agenda. So that's what's going to happen here. And that's going to happen over the next 5 days. And there's going to be, I'm going to, 2 seconds, I'm going to pass you on to the panel here. We can discuss more the different components because there's different workshops and sessions going on over the next 5 days that are going to happen that will again influence this urban agenda. And the last step along the way, and what we're going to be going forward with now, as when we start communicating to you further on, will be the road to the new urban agenda. So we're just going to take, this will be the kind of the hashtag, the road to the urban agenda, which will be as we move forward to Quito, and as we look forward to one of the things happening there is the Youth Hab Conference. The Youth Hab Conference is again similar to organized for this, but it'll be 4 days long. There will also be a Children and Youth Assembly. There will be other things that I think some of the people here on the panel will talk about. And we'll be starting, hopefully starting an e-newsletter that we'll be sending around. So So there'll be a whole different communicating to you and hopefully communicating back about where we're moving. Because really, after the Durban agenda is decided, the big thing next, and really where we have to get our mind into is implementation. Because the Durban agenda is going to give us the kind of, here's where we want to go. Then we need to implement. And we'll be helped out with things such as ISEC. ISEC is doing some great work around SDGs. Has an SDG campaign going on. We're hoping to do more with ISEC to kind of parallel the Durban agenda, looking at SDG 11 and other based SDGs. So that's another partner. We have so that's basically where we're at. So we're really kind of looking towards Quito, but also looking beyond. Because you guys are here not only just to input into a document, but we're also hoping and we're asking you, and we're saying really kind of it's your responsibility to now implement this, implement what you've been talking about, implement what you've been thinking about. And I know that the session is focused on that, and so we're great. And as I said, the session has you all with excellent and really great actions and such. And so I'm really hoping to see more as you move forward and as we working with you to Habitat. I hope to be engaging with the next 3 months as well as the next 3 years and 10 years. So that's the kind of overview. Now what I'd like to do is kind of go person to person and have them explain a little bit more in detail their different parts.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you, everyone. I know it's late afternoon and everyone's kind of sinking a little bit. So a little bit about World Vision International. We are an international NGO focused on the well-being of children, specifically the most vulnerable. And we're also actually the co-chair for the Children Youth Group for Habitat 3. So again, this event has never been more timely in terms of we are finalising the document, the new urban agenda in the next few days. So hearing all the issues coming today, it's just so timely. And going to Doug's comment that really looking towards implementation, we're really looking towards going back to what the DED said earlier today. There's a crazy statistic which I'll repeat again, but by the year 2030, over 60% of urban dwellers will be under 18 years old. So exactly what Doug said. Each one of you, with that statistic, everyone has the undeniable right to have a role in shaping our future and taking part in the 2030 agenda, in the new urban agenda, which is the implementation, outlining the implementation of the urban SDG, making cities and human settlements safe, inclusive, resilient and sustainable. So with World Vision, what we're aiming for is that we've been working to change the perception around children and youth's role in shaping cities, one which has been traditionally non-existent. As current and future leaders of our cities, children and youth must be recognised as key resources to the city, as key agents of change. So what we found is that when children and youth are given the space, given the tools, they can play multiple roles in sustainable urban development in any urban. Firstly, as knowledge experts of their city, they're the knowledge bearers that bring ideas, that bring their needs, their experiences to the key governments. At the same time, while not only being a knowledge expert, they're also playing a monitoring role. They hold governments to account how they implement the infrastructure, delivery of basic urban services. So that's the second role. But then the last role is that they have this great transforming agent power within their communities in terms of influencing their peers, influencing their community leaders. So on the road to Habitat 3 and Quito, World Vision has been, there it is. World Vision has been holding quite a few global consultations, and a few photos up there show what we've been doing. One of them was taken at the first Children's Assembly, which took place in Medellin in Colombia. And so at that event, over 200 children, they came together. They were from different neighborhoods of Colombia, there were representatives from El Salvador, Bolivia, Honduras. They came together to talk about what makes their city livable. And at the end of it, they actually made a charter and they presented it to the executive director of UN Habitat. That was great. And so we were saying that the issues that they faced in their communities was the threat of eviction, the lack of access to clean water and clean toilets. They were vulnerable to disease, and also the the predominant issue that came out of it. So in that event, there were people from local government, national, regional, global leaders there, and they really were raising these key questions about what they need for their future cities. They were calling for safe and healthy places to play, quality education, and secure homes for their families. So a lot of these issues also came out at other children's assemblies. So we had one in New Delhi in India, and a lot of those issues came out. And similarly, we had another children's assembly in Recife, Brazil, and about 120 children came together, aged 10 to 17, and a lot of the issues that they drew out was around child trafficking, child labour, gang violence, poor infrastructure, and lack of green public space. So at the end of it, they called for the government greater equality, equal access to livelihood opportunities for their family, equitable access to basic services, greater protection from violence, abuse, exploitation. They're really calling for their voices to be taken into consideration. Whereas there's another picture there that was taken in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and one of my colleagues was here, and he spoke about this briefly. But the children knew they had a mayoral dialogue with the mayors that were going for election, and they were really brought up issues around their rights, the issue of child marriage in their neighbourhoods, the issue of safe and healthy public spaces again, the city's disaster risk reduction efforts, and again child labour and trafficking. So they were saying that when 1/3 of the population in Bangladesh are children, why aren't their voices being taken into account? Their voices weren't taken into account in city planning, city budgeting, so they really were calling on the mayoral candidates to establish these permanent mechanisms once they're in office. So this is kind of a broader dialogue. And then there's another picture, the final one, that's taken from Beirut in Lebanon, and World Vision's been working with children and youth there, and they've identified a lot of similar key issues that are coming out. But one that came out particularly was the issue of social cohesion. And when you're in a place like Beirut with its history and its dense dynamic communities with people of different religious backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, social cohesion is a key issue for them, and the sense of community is critical to any sort of short, medium, long-term intervention. So all these issues, with the new urban agenda, we are generally happy, as Doug said, a lot of language can be strengthened, but a lot of these key issues that have emerged from the Children's Assembly have been integrated. But one thing that we are calling for that could be strengthened, specifically from our point of view, is the issue of child labour and its connection to the quality of education. So we really think that can be strengthened because sadly, often the quality of education has it's made when there is poor quality education. A lot of families have seen that child labour, that education is not a viable alternative to child labour or putting a child in full-time work. So we're really emphasising that, and that's that linkage, because every child has a right to education, and providing the skills to build the next generation of future leaders and to create those sustainable and prosperous cities. So on my concluding remark, what we're basically calling for all children and youth, they do have the right to live grow up in a fair and just city, to be cared for, to be protected from violence, to have an equal opportunity to grow, to contribute, to learn, to shape their future cities, and they must be involved in all key decision-making processes. So children and youth, they can drive social, political, economic, technological transformation in the city. So let's use what we've learned today, let's continue the discussions, and let's work towards Quito and beyond. So thank you.
Great. Great, you can see all the amazing work
PPT, masuk PPT selanjutnya. Lucu deh.
and World Vision System working on children. So we're really excited to be part of the Children and Youth Assembly, the Children's Assembly, show up in Quito, and so we're again really excited. So next I'd like to pass it on to Josie, Taiwan,
Oh enggak, Jose sih.
Thank you, Doc. I would like to say thank you first to all of you that still stay here until late. But yeah, this is an energetic meeting towards prime country, so I expect it to be more energetic. Also, on after this, we also will discuss about the not discuss, but the committee will read to you the summary output of the event. So I hope you will still keep energetic. So I'm going to tell you not the story, but the history of IYMM actually. Indonesia Youth Meetings Movement is established less than a year ago in November 2015. So we're going to have anniversary on November this year. The Indonesia Youth Meetings Movement itself is the outcome. We prefer to say it as the result product of the Asia Pacific Urban Forum Youth Assembly. If you've heard before, there is this one event called APUV. It's actually the Youth Assembly on Asia Pacific Urban Forum that happens in Jakarta last year. What we're the first time that I heard about the Asia Pacific Urban Forum, one thing that come up in my mind is that it's about urban, and there must be a lot of food, a lot of good things, a lot of goods, because the ministry is the organizer. So why not join the assembly, right? But when I started to really open up my mind into the assembly and get all the insights, the idea, and also all the concepts about the new urban agenda, I started to think myself that what should I do to take part in the new urban agenda. And then I came across with several friends of mine in Asia Pacific Urban Forum Youth also that has the same concern with me. There's Amy here. She was the chief executive director, the executive director of IYMM Jogja, but she is not the advisory board. I also have Hedi from Semarang, Surabaya we have Atina Ilma, Medan we have Dedi, Bandung we have Steve, Semarang I've said Semarang before, right? Pekanbaru we have Hari Novar. These six great friends of mine, the six great people, we come together. We only come together via Hangouts, via Line, Twitter, Line, WhatsApp. We are like, we don't have this kind of face-to-face meeting, but we have the same vision, we have the same missions that we got from the Asia Pacific Urban Forum Youth. That we want to make sure that the youth ideas, the youth voices are heard in the process of creating the new urban agenda. So I could say that IYMM itself is the legacy of Asia Pacific Urban Forum Youth. And I think, and I believe that IYMM could not be separated from the other, if there's still IYMM 20 years of the next 20 years. I believe IYMM will also be present during the fourth habitat, because we are really right now really concerned about how the youth voice being heard. So the other legacy that APUV has left with us, IYMM, is that the first is on how we are focusing on urban agenda. The second thing is that how we create our organizational works. So in APUV, the committee, the organizers encourage us to speak, encourage us to do debates, encourage us to question everything, and those are the things that happens also in IYMM now. Through dialogues that takes research and advocacy, we are really trying to gather all the voices of the youth by creating discussions, debates, meetings, assembly. But yeah, we are still lacking there and there. But going forward, looking forward, we are trying to make sure that every youth voice be heard in our process of consultations. So after APUV, we established IYMM. And then we have a great partnership with the Habitat. And then after that, we have urban youth meeting here. So our event has been a great, this past 10 months of our event is a great moment for our event to involve in creating the new urban agenda too. So I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Josie. And I mean, this really, what's happened here,
Clear
I think,
audio.
is a lot to credit these beginnings what happened in the Asian Pacific Forum. Because it was an amazing event. It brought together many people. It really put, I really think it put young people on the map in the Asian Pacific like it's never been done before. So really excited. I hope we can continue to build on your work. Next up is Emmy, who will talk about youth contributions in the city level national installation and these guys will do amazing work too.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone. Still, it's like an energy for me to come back, like flashback, right after the session of moments that I can make, a lot of variations used around Indonesia, especially, and this is around Asia Pacific too. So, contribution of the youth is not always related into how the youth only can talk, how the youth only can debate, but more than that, we can prove that youth as a key engine of the movement or key engine of the development. You have like a big responsibility to your own future, especially how you want to be, how you can make your energy and then inspire others and to the changes happens real, not only on your own tree, because in some cases or in some analysis or whatever it is, like reviews, many conferences happens, many seminars happens, many workshops, trainings, including youth happens, but the impact or the real impact from the youth also is still questionable. Why? Because sometimes we forget that we are youth, forget about how to practice our debate results. We forget how to practice from small things and respect our own self. Sometimes we always forget that we have big great power as our contributions to many processes of the development itself. What you want to face forward, like all three after three, is one of the long process to go to what we call now as the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. But then we also have to, make a remarkable history as the youth. What will you do for your age? According my experience, I believe it's not how we can contribute to in this, it's a long process. Only will happen 20 years later, every 20 years. So just imagine, if you are now probably 17 years old, you will face this kind of process again on your way to now, for example, 3 to 7 years old. So probably you have child, and then move to the next 20 years old. Probably you have grandchildren. So what will you want to share to your grandchildren? Whether you want to be a leader or you want to be a user. Actually, you are great heroes of the development up here. You are sitting now in a really great event. But don't forget this fact also that you have energy. Just please, do something for a small thing. But make consistent, meaning that you do not lose your knowledge after losing this kind of event. No. You have to make your own movement after this. Don't forget that you have a lot of knowledge from this kind of event. You have met with a lot of great people up here, a lot of mentors, a lot of speakers, a lot of inspirators. Why don't you make one of movement, come back probably to your hometown, be a leader to your hometown, and then inspire others. And contribution in consultations, not always thinking as we only create a kind of report or we create only a document. No, with is such a commitment. Youth should be one of, frontier of the commitment doers. So that's why Indonesian youth meeting movement also support me well to interrupt the political pathway that probably, especially in Indonesia, we never believe that young people can do that. To be mayor, for example, to be whatever you want. But I try my way to make it one of the mayor candidates in my own city, Yogyakarta. So if you want to do that, you can do. I've proved that. If you stand with your contribution possibly play and inspire others, it's not an impossible to be done. Use is the key. Don't forget, use is the key. And don't forget also about, let's say, probably our contribution nowadays is only 0.5% from the development, probably now. But just make it consistent and regular, and keep on your mind that you are strong youth. So, if you have successfully in changing your mindset, you will also succeed in changing other mindsets too, to be very youth. And then this kind of, you can say as a leader, can also lead another next candidate of the leader. So, what I can say briefly from this kind of what we want to face in the consultation is, don't forget don't think too much that we only create a product of document, but document is one of the trigger. We need to practice how to applicate the document into reality, because don't waste your age, don't waste your time. Okay, you can talk much, but also do much. So I think that's all. So good luck for our contribution next for the next development, especially for the SDGs. Thank you.
And I think really a really good message about being young people and doing and moving forward. Just a quick thing. I mean, sometimes what we try to do is be what we're not, and oftentimes, my many years of experience in seeing this, or too many, that sometimes you suddenly try to become the UN or to become bureaucrats, etc. Let's make sure we keep our roles. Young people should be young and active and get out there and push the barriers and pound the doors and hit the streets and do whatever you need to do to move the agenda forward. We've got lots of UN bureaucrats, don't be boring. There's too many of us. So if you can just try not. Sometimes people feel they have to emulate or become something, and it's not. That's really not the way to go. I don't think it will affect change properly. Anyways, that's just my personal opinion. The next up is Felix from Slovenia.
Hello, I'm Felix from CityNet. Those of you who don't know CityNet, we are a network of cities and urban stakeholders committed to sustainable urban development. And what we do is basically connect cities, help them to learn from each other, share best practices in various fields through capacity building workshops. And one of quite a few very, very exciting best practices we get the chance to present you at PrepCom Korea at the side event on Wednesday at 1:30. And that side event is entitled Civic and Youth Participation in the Wired Age. So I would like to invite you all to this very exciting session. Basically, the idea of this session is to showcase solutions how governments, local governments, can work together with the citizens, with youth, how participation can be done very innovative through the utilization of digital technologies. For instance, we will have City App, which is a joint collaboration with CityNet and Microsoft, which basically helps cities to work, to develop applications, smartphone applications, together with youth and local software developers. So basically, a hackathon or hackathon takes place, and students or local software developers code for one day in a competition to develop solutions for the urban challenges they are facing in their city. And at the end of the day, you have one winning team, and that winning team is being supported by Microsoft to develop the app. And actually, the last city app took place not far from here in Sidoarjo, and we will have someone from Sidoarjo in our session who will explain the process of developing the app, and it's actually being used right now. Also, a very interesting initiative is Block by Block, which shows how Minecraft can be used to design public spaces. We'll have someone from UN Habitat who present that project that's conducted together with Moyang. And we have also some other very exciting speakers, and I don't want to tell you too much, otherwise you don't have much reason to come. So please show up there. I know you're a very good crowd, and I want to take this energy that you have here to Bradcombe Free and show the grown-ups that such a conference can be not a gathering of, you said it, UN bureaucrats, but also game changers. So yeah, we will have also someone from Grab Taxi that show how data can contribute to sustainable development of a city, and other examples, UN Pulse that will be there that show the importance of data and digital technologies. But yeah, before I tell too much, I think I'll leave it here, and hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday at 1:30. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. And just, it sounds like a really exciting session that I encourage you to go to. As you say, the Block by Block project that we're doing with UN Habitat, fascinating to watch it grow, and I think people can learn a lot. And next one. Dan.
Okay. Good afternoon, my name is Mark Major. I work for the Global Partnership on Sustainable Low Carbon Transport. And we are a global partnership with lots of members, non-state actors, active in the transport field, trying to take forward the subject of transport into global sustainable development processes. We have many actors, companies, the World Bank, some of the UN agencies, the African Development Bank, all part of our partnership, and we're working together to support the development and the implementation of slow, sustainable, low-carbon transport in the international processes. Now, I wanted to come today because I want to encourage you to be thinking about transport, and particularly linking what other people said, is that, if you're in these UN negotiations, these states act like they control everything and they're all powerful, but of course that's really how it used to be when the UN was started. But actually, to implement a new urban agenda, they're going to need all of these non-state actors and all of your stakeholders to actually make it happen. Unfortunately, the negotiators in the room don't realise they need your help and all of our help. And I think the work that you're doing to bridge that gap is really important. Next slide. I want to encourage you to think about why you find mobility interesting. Lots of people want to talk to you about cars and technology. I think that's really not interesting at all. Often expensive and inefficient and divisive. But I think you want to think about cities as machines for accessibility. I like to say that the reason cities exist is they give you privileged access to the opportunities of urban life. Urban mobility provides access to all those opportunities. And that, if you like, is the urban advantage. In many ways, urban mobility systems, they define the cities we live in. Physically, urban transport defines the cities you live in and the experience of living there, for good or for bad. So maybe you have a great experience in the city, and that can often be because it's easy to get around, do things, meet people, see things safely. The last thing I'd say is that it's important to understand understand that all great cities have great transport systems. It's very difficult to imagine a great city that is really congested and polluted and inefficient. So I think you want to think about, again, don't try and get stuck up in the technology aspects of transport. Think about transport systems and their role in city life. Now, the important message here at the bottom is that urban mobility systems throughout the world are failing. You all know about congestion, rising pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, and the 1.3 million people which are killed in avoidable road collisions every year. Many of them, all of them, are avoidable collisions. So these systems are failing, and I think they're failing because the systems are often designed and developed by a very, very small type of person with limited perspective. And if we have a greater engagement of young people, women, people with disabilities, people representing the elderly, we'd have much better mobility systems. So please think about mobility as an interesting topic to get involved in. Next slide. We're having a transport day on Tuesday for the whole afternoon at the Sheraton Hotel. You're all very welcome to come along. There you can interact with many different types of people. Next slide, please. You can learn more about this topic, which hopefully you can see is interesting. You can meet experts working in the field, and you can interact with negotiators. And this is an important point as well. You can have the best ideas or the best discussions today, but unless you have some influence in these processes, it makes no sense. I mean, maybe you have direct contacts with negotiators already, and you're transmitting your ideas to them, and it can have an impact. But if you can't, an alternative is to come and speak with us. Come to our event, contribute your ideas to our event, negotiators will be there, and we have direct access to negotiators. So, good ideas, fantastic, but unless you have influence, you have no impact. The last thing to say is that we will also have a side event on Wednesday at 1:30, I'm afraid, so a competing event. But again, if you're interested in us, you'd be very welcome to come along. And I just really would like to thank you for this chance to be here. I used to be an international civil servant doing the negotiations. I'm happy to have progressed to be here with you in this forum. So thank you very much for your attention.
Good to hear you progress. And I've been doing very well. So, Dan.
Okay, thank you. So, I think that I'm the only one who's sitting here with a little disappointment because after I reading the revised draft of Habitat 3, I don't find anything related to the poor and persons with disabilities. Actually, the special rapporteur for persons with disabilities has urged the international community to address the issue about disability and poverty because there is a strong linkage between disability and poverty. As you may know, in 2050, it is predicted that 6.25 billion people will live in urban centers, and according to the global report on disability issued by WHO and UNFPA in 2014, 15% of the population are persons with disabilities. So you have to think about that population. So if you don't build the infrastructure, the accessible infrastructure, you will hear a news about a child cannot go to school because lack of accessible transport. A mother cannot reach sexual reproductive health because inaccessible sidewalks and inaccessible healthcare building. So I think we don't want to hear it anymore. You know, because everyone has a potential to be disabled. According to WHO, there are 4 major factors that can cause a human to become a disabled person. They are communicable disease, non-communicable disease, traffic injuries, and aging. In the meantime, in several countries, especially in Africa and Middle East, there are ongoing war out there, and the war in those countries result more persons with disabilities. In developing countries, poverty result more persons with disabilities because poverty prevent people to get adequate nutrition, to get adequate income sources, and to get healthcare services, and to get education. So maybe you have friends or family members who have disabilities, and when you survive until old age, you may also be disabled person. So I want you to help persons with disabilities in raising the awareness about the importance of the inclusive urban development agenda. You know, the 2 world leaders, I mean Ban Ki-moon, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General, and also Mr. President of the World Bank, Mr. Kim Yong, they have urged the international community to boost the shared prosperity among the bottom 40% for everyone, including persons with disabilities. Because the tagline is, no one is left behind. So, I'm asking you here, are you with those persons with disabilities? If you are with them, please raise your voice. Because next time, you may be also become the person with disability, a person with a disability. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby, and a really good message with disabilities, as well as making sure that this new urban agenda and the way we're going forward is inclusive of all, and make sure everyone is. And last, but not least,
Thank you very much. Well, hi guys. I know it's a very long day. I'm sleepy, you're sleeping, and for that reason, I will keep my words in only 2 minutes. In the next 2 minutes, I only have one single message. It's the importance of the youthly follow-up mechanism of the new urban agenda. So, we're realistic about the Habitat 3 process. We know it's dominated by nation states. We know it's dominated by the negotiators. And we are not going to change the mindset of them within a couple of days. For example, the US, Japan, and Canada, they do not want a follow-up mechanism of the new urban agenda. They just want every country to submit a report to the United Nations 2nd of January every year, and the 2nd of January we publish a report, a 300-page report in which no one is going to read it. It's not going to change the world. Even if every one of us are reading that report, we are not going to make the life of citizens in cities better. So that is why we really need a follow-up mechanism of the new urban agenda. And young people is the missing link between the materialization of the new urban agenda, especially between the local authorities and the new urban agenda. In Quito in October, the SDSN Youth is going to launch a youth fellowship for local SDG pathways in order to connect young people and local authorities on the one hand. On the other hand, we are going to connect local authorities to city network, to the new urban agenda, so that they can know the ways to materialize the new urban agenda and SDG 11 sustainable cities. So we are currently in discuss with a couple of local governments to pilot this program, and we are also in discuss with a couple of city networks in order to make this happen. So I here just to emphasize the importance of the follow-up mechanism. We're not going to make the world a better place with a fancy document of the new urban agenda. We need to materialize it. And young people, we just can't say that, okay, we can are happy to attend the urban youth meeting. After the youth meeting, we go home, we just continue with our work. We have raised the awareness of a lot of young people. That is not enough. We need to add and materialize the new urban agenda and to provide youthly solutions for that purpose. So that's pretty much my message in these 2 minutes. So I hope it's clear enough, and I hope to see you guys in the next week in the PepCon process. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. I think that's a great Anyway, so I think we've come to the end then of this really amazing day. I'd like to thank the panelists for all the great input. I'd like to thank all the young people here, especially and the facilitators and the people behind the scenes who have done an amazing job of making sure that the workshops happened, you were fed, and everything went tickety-boo. So really thanks so much for that. And last, I'd like to thank you participants just for coming, spending the whole time. I see a really great crowd that's still here. Some people are really excited. I mean, it's our responsibility collectively to move this forward, and your responsibility to move it forward in your communities or in your cities or wherever you're at. So again, thank you so much. Big round of applause for all of you. Looking forward to seeing you over the next few days, and hopefully you keep them. You can go home.
So everyone, thank you for staying until the end, and thank you for our panelists of the plenary too, which finished very strong. Now we are going to conclude the event in style, which is to say we will have closing performance by the choir of Bukang University. You're welcome to stay to hear from them. And afterwards, the committee will share with you with a summary of the 8 sessions that have discussed the content. So if you're interested, please stay on. And now we are waiting for our choir performance.
Iku kristal. Montok. Jam 10 ya. Jam 10 isu ya. Iki keban iki. Ngawur ae. Mau sampai tak melok tidak.
sendiri gitu. Iya, tulus 100%. Iya, karena kalian sendiri gitu. Oh, kan? Dulu kalian bilang kalian sendiri.
Iya, kita sendiri.
Bertiga gitu. Ada yang gitu. Ini siapa aja?
Enggak, ini cucu.
Ada yang kerja.
Enggak. Dia juga ke paduan suara mana sih? Paduan suara paduan suara kan? Anu. Saya tahu kan. Rồi em biết con lại vậy em mong con cái dạng ra tuyệt vời. Iya. Iya. Itu kan ini loh. Kuliah usaha kali. Iya mana? Yang dimakan loh. Ada tuh betul. Ayamnya juga silong.
Attention everyone, last but not least, we are going to announce that there is some information that we would like to tell you. But before that, please don't go home first. Okay, we have some information to tell you. For the participant who would like to join us to go to the Ketandan village after this, for 40 lucky people, we are going to go there free. So if you interested to go to the Ketandan village after this, you may register at the registration table. And also, there are 18 people that will be lucky to have a souvenir from the 17 August University at the registration table. So grab the souvenir faster. Attention. So we would like to say thank you for the participant for the contribution. But first we are going to have the closing remarks, and it will be led by Mr. Joseph. Time and place is yours.
Thank you so much. I promise you this will be the last time you see person in front of you and talking. So, I will not introduce myself again, but the last thing that I would like to say is that we would like to thank all of you for participating in Urban University, and we will make sure that all your voice be heard in the process of that country. Now, right now, I'm going to read you the summary of our Urban Youth Meeting. You are welcome to respond to it, and we will publish it online by midnight today, because we are going to print it and spread it through the prep country exhibitions. We are grateful that the committee provided us one booth, so we could exhibit the proceedings of Urban Youth Meeting. So I would like to all of us here pay close attention. If you feel that your voice is not included in the summary draft, please feel free to comment. We will give you the online documents, and you are free to comment on it. On the eco-friendly urban development, critical issues highlighted by the participants of the sessions on eco-friendly urban development include pollution, lack of public transportation, waste and its management, water including both drainage and sewage, lack of awareness, environmental education not yet fully accommodated in standard curricula, and lack of community involvement. Hence, the participants collectively agreed upon some solutions that could be implemented, specifically youth-led projects such as community campaigns, peer-to-peer counseling, environmental awareness raising initiative, cultural heritage and traditional indigenous approaches, promotion of social and eco-entrepreneurship, and activities strengthening the bond between the community, government, and other partners. Youth against extremism. One of the primary causes of extremism is the significant and continuous social exclusion towards minority groups. Young generations play an essential role, as they not only become the most likely targets for potential extremist recruits, but also hold an important role in peace building, preventing and countering extremism. Therefore, the collective actions that can be conducted are as follows. Urges. Youth to promote the values of social inclusion through conducting sustainable programs such as routine dialogue, get diverse group to find common ground. Implementing the values of social inclusion not but also to rural areas that are most vulnerable to the influence of extremism. Encourages the use of social media and campaigns promoting socially inclusive values as platforms for people which enable peer-to-peer communications and dialogue capable of wide-reaching results. Fosters a platform or a safe spot as means to prevent the spread of extremism, which nowadays increasingly is using soft approach. The platform can also be utilized as a place for victims of the influence of extremism, where they can talk about their experience and find solutions. Rights to the public spaces, mobility and services in the city. In the station, there were some highlighted priorities such as providing accessible infrastructure for vulnerable people, poor, disabled, elderly people and children, and to provide good public transportation. Hence, the participants of the session concluded that governments should make regulations that support pedestrian and public transportation, provide accessible infrastructure for vulnerable people, particularly in public places. Also for the communities, youth, and private sectors to campaign the benefits of public and eco-friendly transportation, raising public awareness of the value of the equality between normal and disabled civilians. Empowering youth through urban, local, and informal economy. The highlighted issues addressed in the session by the participants are the impact of slum area, the poverty, low exposure, damaged environment, and low productivity, the impact of interconnectivity, access to distribution, low number of infrastructure buildings, lack of advocacy to marginalized people, market access and low education, lack of local government support, informal entrepreneurship and research, and the impact of inclusion of the private sectors that means the growth of locals and low productivity. Therefore, the solution proposed are research and analyze each area's potentials, socialization through workshops regarding changes in entrepreneurship, monitor and evaluate in order to make entrepreneurship sustainable. On urban equities and youth development, UN Habitat's Global State of Urban Youth Report 2015-2016. The participants conclude that there are 5 aspects of the urban equities: economic, social, cultural, political, equities, and environmental and ecological dimensions. We highlighted that there are many inequity issues, such as in education, access to health and public services, and also slums. As young citizens, we believe that the problems are not only the government's responsibility, but also the citizens. While the government only provides programs to overcome these problems, the citizens themselves should have awareness of how important the programs are. Therefore, we would like to recognize the problem. It's not only about what has been done by the government, but also the society's awareness. Embrace the use of the internet and technology innovations to spread awareness and overcome the problems. Commit to work together with the government to achieve activities in the society, which can be done by providing platforms where they can discuss about issues in any dimensions. Commit to overcome the problems by joining and creating youth movements, starting with small-scale movements around their environment. On good governance and rights to the city. In order to establish an enabling environment for good governance, several priorities should be highlighted, including inclusive governance, inclusive urban planning using top-down as well as bottom-up approaches, a society free of discrimination, synchronized regulations, active citizen participation, transparency, and democracy. Moreover, good governments that are expected to implement good governments that are expected to implement good governance need to urgently shift from a needs-based approach to right-based approach. Then good governance in cities can also be a way to ensure the recognition of human rights and the safety, respect, and protection of human rights for all. On disaster risk reduction and climate change. The disaster risk reduction and climate change topic, participants agreed youth were focal points for building a disaster risk resilient community. Problems identified and faced by the community included lack of knowledge and an institutional role for youth in the disaster risk reduction management. As such, participants call upon the government to endow young people with disaster risk management training so they can socialize such skills. Their surroundings, environment, and integral actions for vulnerable groups of people in communities. The last one, youth inclusive in policy making and monitoring. Empowering youth in policy making and monitoring is one of the solutions to make inclusive city, change people's mindset, empower members who are considered harmless problems in the city, such as idea for giving educated program. Inclusive city is a city which lets its people, including marginal society, development, children, women, and elderly, to have accessibility for getting public service. This idea can be done by good cooperation between the government, youth, and NGO. Youth can make discussions with the government related to the issue that they can take part in problem solving. From this program, youth can be mediated between urban people and government, take part in policy making and monitoring as well. In the discussion, youth can suggest government to build a facility for making disabled people mobile easily and comfortable, making community to the more better by training them to have soft skills so they can work instead of beg. Government also can open internship program for youth so that they can involve directly in policy making and monitoring. For monitoring function, youth can involve to the check and balances function in government policy. Besides involving with the government, youth can do social media campaign and persuade the whole society for obeying the policy related to build the inclusive city. Those are the summary report from our urban youth meeting this whole day that we have been through. If you have any comments, if your organizations have any comments, please feel free to comment on the link that we will provide through our Twitter, because until midnight today, because we will print it and we will distribute it during the prep of 3 exhibitions. So I think that's all for today. And my last sentence for these sessions will be see you next year, probably in the next urban youth meeting. Thank you.
In the closing remarks by Mr. Jose, it means that the event is officially closed. Thank you. See you in the next urban youth meeting.
Wes ya, tutup ya. Oh, layar yang udah. Sudah ya? Sudah toh? Iya, cuma berapa? Sudah diomongin nanti tanggal. Mari bawa closing statement. Kan di volunteer sana. Ayo beres coy.
Beres apa?